do it before. I seen him even tell people on the phone before, like, yo, like he did Wendy Williams.
Do it before I seen him even tell individuals on the telephone before like yo as he did Wendy impulses. Put out those photos of the man pulling his jeans down. And it seemed to be some gay demonstration that was going on he got on the telephone. He set an emotional curve to the adventure of Wendy Williams. And Diddy previous protector Jenin arrangements new disclosures have added fuel to the long-standing fire of their quarrel-less hazardous meeting, reveals insight into the savage estimates Diddy supposedly took to quietness and ruin Wendy Williams. In the 90s portraying of vindictive music, Big Shot able to utilize power and terrorizing against his enemies simply demonstrates how far the gay development inside hip-hop sports actually needs to go. When I return to New York City on the off chance that she's on the radio broadcast, he's conversing with a radio chief. The core of the contention follows back to Wendy Williams' experience as a radio character, when she boldly recommended that Diddy may be gay. This case, made in a period where such charges could essentially sully a person of note's appearance, particularly in the hip-hop local area, was not messed with by Diddy. She was basically copied at the stake from discussing such, and presently it's undeniably ended up back at square one. As per bargain, Diddy's reaction was verbal, or through media, as well as elaborate, determined in the background moves, pointed towards squashing Wendy's arrangement, describes the way that Diddy capitalized on his leverage and associations with coordinate a move that would see Williams moved from her New York show to a less unmistakable job in Philadelphia. When we returned to New York City, Wendy Williams was in Philly at another station. This essential downgrade was a huge catastrophe for Wendy's rising vocation, actually resetting her advancement and constraining her to reconstruct her standing without any preparation. Diddy was tireless arrangement. Expressed he wouldn't let it go. He needed her out. Arrangement's record of Diddy's impact stretches out past simple individual grudges, uncovering a hazier, more coercive side of the music business power elements. As per bargain, Diddy didn't go for the gold mishap. He looked to crush her presence in the business. He purportedly applied strain on the makers of Wendy's show, capitalizing on his significant leverage to guarantee her destruction. He had associations wherever feel made sense of, and he wouldn't hesitate to utilize them. It was like he needed to delete her from the scene. Totally, he believed everybody should fail to remember Wendy Williams existed, yet Diddy's supposed counter didn't stop there. In an occurrence that has since become scandalous, Wendy Williams guaranteed that Diddy went to the extent that sending the young lady bunch all out endorsed under his name, ready to genuinely go up against her. She related the nerve-wracking experience on her show. I finish my boat and see this young lady bunch leap out of a vagabond taxi to kick my "You understand what I said was valid. All of you are poor, and you were residing in tasks." And that was that. This assertion not just proves the story of Diddy's forceful strategies, yet in addition highlights Wendy's unfaltering position. Despite terrorizing he said, "No one that I manage, nobody that I know will do anything with you, all no business at all." Following the supposed harm by Diddy, Williams wound up in another city, beginning from the beginning. Yet she didn't allow this to hinder her. Rather, she involved it as fuel to reignite her profession with re-established energy. Her initial days were set apart by a steady quest for progress in a profoundly cutthroat industry subsequent to moving on from Northeastern College, where she changed from TV correspondences to radio. Williams comprehended the worth of difficult work and individual her underlying encounters in the business, including temporary positions, and her spell at a little station in the U.S. Virgin Islands laid the basis for her steadfast way to deal with her profession, regardless of confronting difficulties. For example, low compensation and seclusion. She kept on pushing forward, sending resumes and demo tapes to different stations, ultimately handling a role at Fleece in Washington, D.C. And later in New York City's, Fu Williams' capacity to return was further displayed when she was terminated from GAT in the mid-90s Resolute, she momentarily worked at Opelage, prior to being employed by Rox, where she started her introduction to VIP tattle during a section called Dish the Soil Her Open, and frequently questionable style prompted requires her terminating, yet Williams remained unflinching, developing into a famous radio character, and in the end facilitating the night drive time allotment by 199.3. She was the most elevated evaluated, having her time allotment in the New York City market, a surprising accomplishment thinking of her as late misfortunes I don't regard individuals. Security, that is the reason I do the hotly debated issues in 1998. In the wake of being terminated from Hot 97, as we currently know, as a result of Diddy's impact, Williams moved to Philadelphia's Wasley Influence 99. Here, she further sharpened her unique way of mixing individual disclosures with superstar tattle, straightforwardly talking about her own life challenges, including unsuccessful labors and past substance habit. This legitimate methodology resounded with audience members, assisting the station with moving from 14th to runner-up in the evaluations. This is Wendy Williams, the most smoking radio personality in New York City. Williams' victorious revisitation of New York in 2001, joining WS for a partnered evening space, denoted a round-trip second in her vocation. She kept on building her image, venturing into different mediums like her site, and later TV, her partner daytime syndicated program. The Wendy Williams Show appeared in 2008 and immediately turned into a staple in daytime TV, equaling laid-out shows and procuring Williams' basic praise, and an enormous following. Her excursion from a striving radio personality to a TV sensation is a strong story of versatility and re-examination. Getting back to her quarrel with Diddy, Wendy chose to close this part of her life unequivocally. The two symbols had a public compromise in 2017. On Wendy's syndicated program Diddy, pondering the past, conceded, "I realize I've pissed many individuals off, including you, Wendy," recognizing the round-trip nature of their experience, welcomed Diddy to focus on private parts of his life, incorporating his relationship with Cassie and the injury of losing famous large. I got at this point, in spite of this broadcast covering of the Axe-Gan arrangement's disclosures, cast a shadow over the truthfulness of their compromise bargain, proposes that Diddy's public signals did close to nothing to make up for the long periods of difficulty Wendy looked because of his supposed activities. It was each of the show arrangement, commented, suggesting that the compromise did close to nothing to delete the long periods of hostility and profession damage that Wendy ed, and similarly as Wendy Williams explores her direction through a maze of difficulties. Diddy's genuine name, Shekums, ends up snared in a trap of contentions that simply appeared to develop. The music tycoon, once venerated for his impact in the business, presently faces disturbing allegations that take steps to eclipse his inheritance in a surprising development. Dwayne Keith Davis, otherwise known as Key, an individual from the Southside Compton CPS, made stunning disclosures in court about the 1996 death of Tupac Shakur. He guaranteed that Diddy purportedly organized Tupac's death, offering a faltering $1 million for the hit. This disclosure sends shockwaves, particularly considering Diddy's previous excusal of any contribution as Babel discoveries drove him to presume that Diddy recruited Crips gangster Dwayne Keith, K.E.D. Davis, to kill Shakur. And shite, the situation starts to get interesting with James McDonald, otherwise known as Crowd James, certifying bits of gossip about Diddy putting an abundance on Tupac, and Sujin Knight. Diddy was terrified of Sui that could not have possibly never occurred, so when it occurred with Tupac, our side needed to feel like, okay, we can't let that one go. James unveiled, portraying the period's heartless industry dynamic. Yet the embarrassments don't end there. Cassie, Diddy's ex, blames him for actual maltreatment crossing more than 10 years. The subtleties are nerve-wracking. Cassie charges that Diddy controlled her life to an upsetting degree, from profession to individual clinical records, She depicts an example of misuse and control that included constrained experiences with male sex laborers while Diddy watched and shot. "I'm at last prepared to recount my story," Cassie expresses her words, repeating the aggravation of drawn-out injury. And yet we've likewise heard that there's some mysterious claim happening in New York City. As it connects with Diddy too, I don't have the foggiest idea about the allegations. Stretch out to odd and risky way of behaving with Cassie, recommending Diddy was answerable for exploding Kid-size vehicle, a case that Kid-Sai himself affirms is valid. This claim on the off chance that genuine uncovers a more obscure, more rough side of Diddy, distant from his public persona of the recording then. At that point, expresses not long after Diddy's threatening message Kid-Sai's vehicle really exploded, and Kid-Sai affirmed it as these outrages stack up. Diddy's past activities cast a long unfavorable shadow over his present. The once unapproachable music symbol presently winds up wrestling with a discolored standing and a heritage under attack. While Wendy Williams might have confronted her preliminaries, and arisen strong, Diddy's way appears to be full of allegations and fights in court that take steps to unwind the realm. He